Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Nature Patch. My name is Robyn and thank you so much for joining in on another video. Today I wanted to share a video on what my garden is looking like in the month of July. I really love to do monthly garden videos because it's a really great way for me to document how the garden is looking at different certain times of the year. Also just to give you some ideas on what grows well in these months and what doesn't do too well. So in all of my videos I like to have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and walk around the garden and share some things with you. Today is a little bit different. It is a Sunday, I've had a long week and I'm treating myself to a beer today. But if it's the morning or a weekday, I would highly recommend grabbing a cup of tea or coffee and joining me on the garden walk. This is also going to come in handy for part of this video that I'll share with you at the end what I'm doing with it, but I really don't need the whole bottle, so I'm just we'll have a few sips now and then I'll get on to the garden tour. Also, if you are new here, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below, or just simply like the video if you like this kind of content. It really helps me out a lot to know what kind of videos that I should be making and what kind of videos you'd like to see as well. So I'm going to go behind me now and lift off all of those nets on the garden. We have these nets up here to protect all of the fruit and veggies from the bush turkey that comes around. I love to have a good peck of what we are growing. I'm going to lift them all off and then show you what we're growing under there. So thankfully we recently just had about 3 days of solid rain. It wasn't too heavy, but I think we got around 30 mils, which was pretty good for this time of year. So the garden is very happy. I haven't had to water in a while. A few things have kind of flopped over with the rain, but I will start with my favorite plant in the garden so far, and that is in this patch here. I have never successfully grown broccoli before, but this is the first little floret of broccoli that's growing in the garden. I'm not too sure if it will bolt or not, but I'm just happy that I got to this stage here. I know that this one is probably different to some of the other ones. I think some of the other ones are purple sprouting broccoli. I'm just generally stoked to have broccoli, so I'm not too fazed about what type it is, to be honest. In this bed here, I also have a lot of greens. I have a random tomato that's growing. Probably shouldn't be growing it right next to the broccoli because they're both kind of heavy feeders. But behind that is a lot of lettuce that's starting to go to seed, which is fine because I'm going to be collecting lots of seeds this year. Lots of other greens that have popped up, tomatoes that I'm going to be transplanting, mustards, some pretty healthy looking tomatoes actually, and some leeks. So I planted a lot of these leeks from seed. I grew them to seedlings and then planted them in clumps of 3. This was just an experiment to see how they would grow in a smaller space. They're actually growing quite well and starting to kind of thicken up a little bit, so hopefully I'll be able to pick these in a few months. Moving over from this bed, we go into this bed here, which has a kind of a sad looking broccoli that has kind of fallen over. I need to prop this up a bit. It was propped up because of the netting that I had on it, but we'll fix that. I have a feeling this is purple sprouting broccoli. There's a bit of purple on the stem of it, and then just heaps more lettuce. So we're going to have quite a few salads in the next few days. Some more broccoli. These ones haven't formed their florets yet, but I don't think they'll be too far behind. And then I've got some celtis down the front. Next, that bed is my beetroots and carrots. They have really enjoyed the rain lately, and I'll come through and thin a lot of the carrots soon, and some of the beets as well. There's again a few more tomatoes that have popped up in here because I used homemade compost to top this bed up, so I might just pluck those out soon. And this is my protection from the bush turkey, which is actually working, so I'm happy about that. Backing over here, I've got some, I think this is Chinese broccoli growing in here. Again, cage for the bush turkeys, and my peas are actually doing fantastic now. I had some problems with these a few weeks ago that I kind of mentioned in one of my videos, and I'm kind of putting it down to the fact that they weren't getting a lot of sunlight and it was just quite cold and damp in this area. Now that the days are starting to get a little bit longer, and apart from the rain that we just had, these have actually done a lot better and they're growing quite quickly now. So fingers crossed in the next few weeks I'll start to see some snow peas on these, which I am so excited for. And then I've just also got my ancient old parsley bush in here that I'm calling it now, and some more kale. Then on the other side here, I'm debating what to do with this area because it doesn't have protection from the bush turkey, but I'm thinking of putting some beans up here and just seeing if I have enough time to grow them. We're starting to move in a few months, so I'm not sure what I'm going to grow in there, but we'll see. And then I've just got some everlasting daisies that are growing here and some more tomatoes that I'm just kind of letting do their thing. I'm not entirely sure what variety these are, but they are happy nonetheless. This bed gets daily visits from the bush turkey. I just haven't had enough time to put up some netting around it, but I'm hoping that there are at least some sweet potatoes down there. If not, that's fine. I can take lots of cuttings from this and take them elsewhere. And also an eggplant in there. This is my inbuilt compost worm system that I have a few around the garden. And then the back bed here is the bed that I need to put some focus into. The lettuce is going crazy, which is great. I'm going to come through and pick a lot this week and force my partner and I to eat salads. I'm having a definite slug problem, which is where the beer is going to come in handy. I have a feeling it's slugs. I'm not 100% sure, so if you have any ideas on what might be eating this, let me know. Also having troubles with aphids on these, so yeah, I just need to get in here and give this all a good spray with neem oil, I think, so you can see on the back. A bit nasty. Yeah, I'm having trouble with these. I'm not sure what these are. I think they're aphids. I think there's a few different types of bugs on here. But I'm going to spray all this with neem oil and hope that that works. The good thing though is that I have a lot of different variety of plants in here, so that if I lose one, I've most likely got something else to eat. Organic gardening problems. I am getting some exciting things. I've got a kohlrabi that is bulbing up down here, and just lots of lettuce, which is looking super healthy. So I'll take you down to the other area of the garden, which isn't getting a lot of tender loving care. Oh, there's the king parrot that just flew away. Let's see if I can get you. I don't know if you can see it, there's a little king parrot over there. That was just in my garden, and I think it was eating tomatoes. That's okay. There's some animals that I really don't mind if they come into the garden and have a little bit of a nibble, and king parrots are definitely one of those. So this garden is very happy from all of the rain that we've had. There's green fluff popping up everywhere, including weeds, but that's okay. I'll start with the onions down here that I just gave a really good mulch the other day. When I give the onions and garlic a mulch, they seem to just do a lot better. So I'm hoping that this will give them a good kickstart along with the rain that we've had, so that I will be able to harvest some onions before we leave. And if not, I just eat the tops of the onions, like green onions anyway. And then moving on down here, I've got a few little kohlrabi that are forming down there. And in this area here is my experiment with some green manure that I'll probably do another video on later. I shared a little bit about why I'm doing this, but basically I'm just trying to do a bit of an experiment here and increase a lot of diversity in this area and actually grow beans for a crop in between these cover crops to see if I have to water this area more than I do other areas as an experiment for this soil type to see how cover crops do with intercropping. I've still got a lily pilly down here that's getting some nice new shoots, lots of cover crops, elderflower tree, elderberry, lots of tomatoes down here that I'm going to be coming through and propagating. This is where I had a compost bin before, hence all of the diversity of tomato seeds in there. So that'll be great to have some new seedlings so I don't have to start any more from seed. My Pepino Melon is doing really good. I just need to come through and prop it up a little bit. Starting to get some more flowers actually. Got some more garlic on the back there and another pepino. There's not much going on at the back there except little rows of rocket and some greens in there. In this area the garlic is struggling. If you've got any tips for garlic, for growing garlic, mine just don't seem to get that big. I don't know if I haven't left it long enough and that they'll have a kind of growth in spring, summertime, but they just don't really seem to be doing that much. And I have a feeling again because this area doesn't get too much sun. But let me know if you've got any garlic growing tips. And then a really quick overview of this area. I've got a capsicum down there. My peas are growing nicely up this little random structure that I found stuff in the garden and put together. Always winning. Then behind that is some more collards and some kale, calendula, some more peppers that are kind of dormant at the moment, and some more red Russian kale in and about there. Tomatoes are up the back. They are doing their thing. I just haven't bothered to, just haven't had enough time to come through and give them a clean and stake them, but I'll definitely do that, or at least just take some suckers from them and start again. And this little area has just got sprinkles of different seeds in there. There's some radishes, rocket, greens, another pepino, some bush tucker plants, passion fruit up the back. And then there's some more tomatoes down there that didn't quite like the cold, so I might start again with those as well. And then I'm keeping some papayas growing back there. This is my green mulch area where I harvest pigeon pea for mulch, so I just come through and give it a chop whenever I need mulch for an area. But for now I'm just letting this grow out a little bit, hopefully so that I can get some seeds. And then within the pigeon pea is a little bit of a ground cover of some coriander, red Russian kale, nasturtiums, and some society garlic. This is actually one of the ones that I propagated in a video quite a few months ago. This was basically just one little component / clump of the society garlic that I got, and I propagated them all, and I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new clumps there, so I can take this out whenever I want and I will have 6 new plants if I want to propagate them. This area here will be future zucchinis that I want to start planting pretty soon. There's a cow in the distance, isn't that nice? And this is another green manure patch that I am doing my experimenting in. So that is what the garden is looking like in the month of July. Things are growing a little bit slower than usual. That's expected because it is the winter time, but thankfully we can keep growing throughout this time and that we don't have to worry about too many things dying off. I am going to now make a few little slug traps to put around the garden. I have my trusty beverage that sadly is going to be used for something other than drinking it. Pretty much all that I'm going to be doing is finding a place in the garden like down there where I can see that there are some slugs around, and I just have a base of a pot that kind of catches the water, and all I'm going to do is put some beer in there. So the hope with that, once it fizzes out a little bit, is that the slugs kind of crawl into there and they're attracted to the yeasty kind of smell of the beer. They fall in there and then hopefully, fingers crossed, they drown. I'm also going to grab some neem oil and just give everything a good spray. Now that the rain has stopped a little bit, I just want to get some neem oil on the plants before the bugs come in. Generally after the rain we get an influx of bugs and my garden gets very much attacked. So now is a really good time to spray some neem oil. So I really hope you enjoyed this garden tour, that you found it interesting. Let me know how your garden is going at the moment, or if you've ever used beer traps. This is the first time that I've ever done beer traps, so I'm hoping it works. I'm gonna go do some pottering around in the garden and enjoy my Sunday afternoon. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world. Make sure to subscribe and like this video if you want to see more content like this. Also follow me on Instagram if you want to see kind of more daily updates of what I get up to in the garden as well. So thanks so much for watching again, and until my next video, happy gardening guys. Bye.